breaking barriers and bridging the gaps between patients and doctors. Welcome to Brainstorming with the Docs and your co-hosts, Dr. Glenn Harrison and Dr. Kolby Condos.
All right, everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Brainstorming with the Docs. I'm Dr. Kolby Condos, my co-host, Dr. Glenn Harrison. What's up, bud?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. I'm doing really, really good. How was the weekend?
It was good, man. I was busy, helped a buddy tile a bathroom. Not really healthcare related, but well, I guess he's a doctor, so maybe it was healthcare related.
Maybe it was.
So
you helped him. He got a little more sleep, right?
Yeah. I got a little less. He got a little less for a little bit, but I'd imagine it'll probably save him some in the long run.
So was there some physical exertion with that?
There was. Yeah,
there was, right? There was two men working and trying to be rough and tumble. Do you think there was some testosterone pumping through your veins?
I feel like I started growing more facial hair, which I could definitely use some help.
You do look a little hairier today.
So today we're talking about something that affects not only men, but women also. And you see it very, very commonly on the television if you turn it on at all. And that would be the dreaded, do you have low T? So we're talking about testosterone. If this is you and this is your first time listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, make sure you hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications, because we're going to continue to roll out new health-related content each and every week. And you never know when we might roll out something that is applicable to you. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the most common, let's just say the three most common causes of low testosterone.
The three most common causes. Well, I think there's a few. I think if we're just looking for the common causes, estrogen dominance, which I know we always like talking about, I think that's a big one. And where estrogen inhibits, if we want to keep it as simple as that, estrogen inhibiting or overpowering our existing testosterone. So I guess that's one. I know we talked about aromatization, which I thought was interesting. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So aromatization is within our adipose tissue. We have increased levels or concentrations of aromatase, which is an enzyme that actually converts testosterone into a form of estrogen. So when we look at this and we look at some of the common causes of low testosterone or low T, one of the things that you have to really consider is, is there a weight issue? Is this person got a high level of adipose tissue? Because if they have a high level of, and what adipose is fat cells, right? So if a person has an increased concentration of fat cells or they're overweight or whatever, then what they're going to naturally do is they're going to actually move testosterone into estrogen because of the increase of aromatase in those fat cells. So they kind of go hand in hand, where if someone's a little bit overweight or obese, then they're going to naturally have low levels of testosterone.
Just because of the conversion.
Yeah. Yep.
Losing their viable testosterone. And then, of course, another one is sedentary lifestyles, which our Western world, we're extremely sedentary, and more as the generations go on and on. One thing we never talked about testosterone, but I think when we were prepping for this, so I think it's kind of interesting, which, did you ever see those studies where they were testing testosterone of previous generation men versus this generation and the generation before that? Have you ever seen any of those studies?
Well, yeah, I remember taking it in one of our courses for the functional medicine stuff, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So our fathers at our age have significantly more testosterone than us, and their fathers, our grandfathers, had significantly more testosterone than our fathers at the same age. So now we're seeing, as testosterone in men, so I'm picking on men, testosterone diving over generations. We're seeing like a 20-year-old male now, his grandfather had more testosterone than the 20-year-old male now, when the grandfather was like 48 years old. Isn't that crazy? So we're seeing less and less, and we're trying to put it together. And of course, in our world, we're thinking what kind of lifestyle changes in testosterone inhibition and conversion and all the things we're talking about. But I think before we get into the causes of low testosterone and how it plays into other ones, what are some of the common symptoms without listening to the radio?
Yeah. So, well, just listen to any commercial on the television. You'll figure this out. But things like decreased libido, for men, obviously, they're going to have decreased spontaneous morning erections. They're going to have decreased fullness of any erections, the inability to get erections, and then some things that you maybe wouldn't attribute to testosterone was you're going to have like mental fatigue, you're going to have weight gain, and then there's certain like body types that you can get when you have low testosterone. So in men, you're going to get the increase in breast tissue. It's a condition called gynecomastia, and that's when you actually get like female type parts on the chest. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are some of the symptoms. But again, I know we always, whenever we think of testosterone, and you made a case to this, it's not only about men. So I see a lot of women, they'll be on testosterone replacement therapies to try to lean out, or testosterone hormone replacements to try to get libido up. So women need this as well. They need testosterone. The only difference between men and women is the ratios of how much testosterone a man needs and versus woman, and the ratio between testosterone and estrogen, because they're antagonists. So ultimately they're working against each other. It's like a tug of war. And in men, the testosterone should be women. In females, of course, the estrogen should probably be dominating a little bit, but not too much. So that's some of the symptoms. And why is testosterone important? Because it's a lot more, and I know you can get into the neurology of it. It's a lot more than just erections and libido function, right?
Right. So when you look at what like testosterone does, is it's a hormone, and we use it for not only reproductive functions, so things like helping you produce reproductive, like helping run your reproductive organs, but also it really has to play in like to the metabolism as well. Helps to do with mental alertness, mental acuity, can help with that kind of stuff, energy production. I mean, it's really pretty important.
Frontal lobe activity, split second decision making,
Yep.
confidence, all of that great stuff. So it's very, very important. And I always like to say testosterone is an anti-inflammatory hormone and estrogen is an inflammatory hormone. So the less testosterone you have, the more the ratio. And that's kind of one thing that maybe I'll touch on a little bit of common problems with this. And that's, now I'm jumping ahead here, but this is the ratio and the comparison, the relative competitiveness of estrogen and testosterone. So I think in more of our modern world, it's always about the number. What's your testosterone number? What's this? You always want to get that number up, but that's not right. Because a male's physiology versus male A versus male B are going to be different. And their production of testosterone is going to be different, meaning they could have, X quantity of testosterone, but it could be more effective than somebody that has, X times 2 quantity of testosterone, because they're using it more efficiently and their estrogen load is not inhibiting it. I don't know, maybe we heard about this from a professor. I got it from somewhere. I wish it was mine. But think of testosterone as a table, as your desk. And estrogen is like a ton of bricks that you put on your desk. The estrogen can inhibit the strength of the testosterone. So now instead of thinking this, okay, we just got to get that testosterone number up, let's take a look at how much estrogen's in the story, because it can make your testosterone inhibited. And you wouldn't even, it would actually look like you don't have any testosterone, but you could have really high testosterone and you won't get the benefits of it if you have too much estrogen. So the ratio,
and then we can also look at it too as like if you were supplementing with testosterone, right, and we're not doing anything about like the aromatization of testosterone, well then you can just be fueling the problem, right? So we're giving you more testosterone via hormone replacement therapy or whatever, but if you're not taking care of the underlying problem, which can be like adipose tissue or whatever else, like that testosterone can be moved into estrogen, which then compounds the problem.
And then now your estrogen load keeps coming up, and you're not seeing the benefits of your testosterone after your testosterone therapies for a while. So what do? You go back in,
They give you more.
You lift up your testosterone, because that's the only focal point. That's the only thing that's being paid attention to. And you could be in the 800s, 900s. I've seen 1200s, much higher than even 1200. And but if there's a conversion, sedentary lifestyle, you're not able to use this hormone. And like you're saying, Dr. Kolby, it just starts converting into estrogen. So the estrogen load keeps climbing. And then you got to go in for more injections. And the problem is you keep stacking your testosterone, getting higher and higher and higher and higher. You become numb to this testosterone. You become resistant to the hormone, and it takes more to have any effect. And I've seen bodybuilders, massive men, where they were getting extremely emotional, crying in the office. And they were on all of the testosterone hormone their body could possibly handle, but they weren't getting the benefits of it. And the goal was, well, now we got to try to reset this and try to get rid of this estrogen. So the testosterone in the body, the natural testosterone,
the stuff that you're making naturally is being used efficiently.
Going to have an effect. Yeah. So that's a little bit of a tangent, a lot of a tangent. So those are some common causes, I guess, of estrogen and, or I should say testosterone inhibition or a testosterone weakness.
Well, let's go back just a little bit because we've talked a lot about the male part of this. Let's also talk a little bit about the female thing. Like we talked about, it's really important for both sexes. If you do not have a lot of, if the females listening to this have issues with testosterone as well, that's when you can look for things like infertility. You can have reproductive issues, PCOS, like all those kind of things. You'll also have like low sex drive, low libido, and that kind of stuff. But if you're having the other issues, then you need to get like an in-depth hormone panel to see what your levels actually are and check your ratios.
Exactly. Yeah. When I'm working, men or women now, and I know you know my clinical practice, and I never used to spend too much time on sex hormones. It was like, oh, that's downstream. And it is downstream from many problems, whether that's weight gain, sedentary lifestyle, inflammatory issues, etc. But toxins. But now pretty well everybody, if they don't have a panel like this, like all the testosterone and estrogen and progesterone and DHEA, if they don't have that panel when they come in, I'll always order it. And testosterone on women too, because it's so important. And I think testosterone with women is much more fragile and is more of a problem than men, as you know, because, and I think we talked about this in one of our podcasts, but a woman can't make testosterone directly. She doesn't have testes. So she only has one system, and that's the adrenal glands to make all of her testosterone. So if she's exhausted and tired and the adrenal glands are getting weaker, testosterone is going to dive. Libido is going to be one of the first things that's going to happen, then weight gain, and then everything in the kitchen sink after that. And then estrogen kind of dominates the story. But men have testes and adrenal glands. They have a backup system. I remember a study I was reading, maybe we came across that in school, I don't know, where there were individuals that were, I don't even know how this happened, medieval accident or something, where they were literally injuries that practically castrated them. But their adrenal glands gave them enough testosterone they could still perform sexually. They just weren't fertile. Isn't that amazing? The adrenal glands dumped enough testosterone to keep all those sexual organs working, just they weren't fertile. That's so men have a backup system. Women only have that one system. So I think in the world of testosterone, if we want to be real, it's a bigger problem for females than it is for men.
Very true.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some strategies if you have been diagnosed with low T, right? Or if you suspect you have low T, what are some strategies that you would maybe look at implementing?
I think we hit on a couple already. Find out the ratio. Is your testosterone okay, but do you have this sky high estrogen that's inhibiting all of this?
Yeah, you can't just run T, right? You have to run all the hormones.
Yeah.
Don't go in and be like, I just wanted my testosterone ran. Be like, no, that's just going to give you an incomplete picture. So you want to run all of them.
That's right. Then you know, we're not prescribing testosterone. I don't remember the last time I've ever even sent out or referred out for testosterone placement. It was always, let's kick this estrogen in the butt and push detox pathways. I know we talked about this on a hormones podcast before, not that long ago. So I'll try to put a link in the description if you want the whole story of hormones. So find it. And I think we talked about this in that other podcast. There's 3 rules of hormones. You have to make it, you have to use it, you have to lose it. And losing it usually isn't a problem with testosterone. It's usually an estrogen problem. And again, we talked about this. So that's kind of the rules of hormones. But make it, use it, lose it. And then another one that inhibits their testosterone is the estrogen, as we are going over and over. But where does this external estrogen come from? Well, as you said, Dr. Kolby, the conversion, testosterone aromatizing into estrogen, but also estrogen components in life, xenoestrogens, toxic estrogens, exogenous.
And we've actually done a podcast on this one.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in that one, then go ahead and I'll try to put a link in or go back through. And you get it from plastics, you can get it from chemicals, you can get it from hair products, you can get it from all over the place. So definitely be aware of where you're getting like exogenous forms of estrogen, anything with plastic or anything like that, especially really acidic solutions will leach it out a lot faster. So make sure you're at least aware of that as well.
Yeah, they're kind of everywhere, these exogenous
Yeah,
estrogens.
it really is.
And the thing about these hormones, whether it's testosterone or estrogen or whatever, it's more than just physiology, your body changing. It'll change your mood. It'll change your ambition. It'll affect relationships. It just does everything. You know, it's not just something as simple as blood sugar. It's
Yeah, right.
very dynamic, very dynamic.
It really is. So some of the other things you can do, obviously we talked about the fact that fat cells and adipose tissue causes aromatization from testosterone to estrogen. So if you are a little bit overweight or whatever you have going on, losing some weight, right?
Yeah.
Exercise is going to be huge, because not only that, but firing those large diameter muscles is also going to, cause an adrenal response. So it can boost it that way. Losing weight, going to be huge. Because
right.
Again, estrogen is stored in fat cells. A lot of stuff people didn't know. I don't think I mentioned that before either. And that's where you aromatize testosterone into estrogen. So if you are overweight or you're having issues with that, that can be a huge player in why you don't have high testosterone levels.
That's right. Or your body is acting like it doesn't have. And what I guess we should talk about andropause, right? That's kind of the male menopause, but it's not like a male goes through these physiological changes like menopause. I really think andropause is a very good excuse to give a label to a male of a certain age that's putting on weight, has lost ambition, fell out of his lifestyle habits, and life got in the way of him taking care of himself.
Yep.
I truly feel that
absolutely
way. Men don't have an excuse like females.
No.
So they shouldn't be given a name because it doesn't make sense.
So andropause, or like we talked about before, it shouldn't be like the diagnosis audiosis. Oh, you're going through andropause. See ya.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how we can fix it. Right.
So you talked about activity, large diameter muscles. I know when we were talking about this, we're talking about leg workouts. Yep. Leg workouts will pack the biggest bang for buck if we're going to try to push testosterone pathways and start cleaning up blood sugar and start burning adipose tissue versus just upper body that is so common in activities.
Everybody, right? Well, the thing about large diameter muscles we don't fully appreciate too is they're like, especially the legs, right? They're huge, and they're our largest muscle groups. They are going to burn the most calories if you're working them. They need the most calorie. You want to burn like fat, leg workouts.
That's true.
We actually have podcasts on like the most clinically effective form of exercise. So if you're looking to burn some fat and you want to fire your leg muscles, well, give that a listen to and let us know what you think.
That's right. Yeah. Run with it. And don't
that was back. A good pun. You didn't even mean to do that one.
What's that?
I said that was a great pun. You didn't even mean to.
I didn't even know I was saying it.
Run with it. Just run with it.
Just run with it. Yeah, that's a good thing too. Stress responses. This is something I know you talk about every day, and I talk about every day. It's one of those things that are not black and white, but we have to have stress management strategies. In fact, I think we did a podcast on stress with Carrie Thrall. Carrie Thrall, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one on that, and strategies on how to start working through this, because that stress will spike cortisol. Cortisol is going to funnel into blood sugar. You're going to start putting on adipose tissue, and then it's going to take your beautiful, your precious testosterone and start converting it into estrogen. Don't ignore the effects of stress. Cortisol converts testosterone into estrogen in men and converts estrogen into ineffective testosterone in females. So
there you go. So moral of the story, exercise and don't stress out.
Yeah. Run away from the stress.
And obviously there's other forms like, for low T, the medical model would be like giving HRT or hormone replacement therapy. There are some supplements that you can use like DHEA, basically all the precursors to
help build your own testosterone. Yeah.
And then doing things with an estrogen detox could also be beneficial for you as well. So
that's right. Yeah. Trying to find ways to get that estrogen out of the body, but look for the sources first before you start trying to drain it out. So
it's like a Band-Aid, right? Instead of just like stitching up the wound, like figuring out why the testosterone's not there or not working to begin with.
That's right.
And fixing it, you're just slapping a Band-Aid on it.
And the more we're learning about exogenous hormones, adding them to the body, external, bioidentical, it's not organic, bioidentical hormones, the more we add them into the body, we're learning things about this. Not only is it inhibiting our own production of these hormones, but then we can overwhelm and be desensitized to them. That resistance, just like insulin resistance, leading to a whole nasty bunch of surprises in the future, and we're still learning about this. So it's definitely one part that I believe that if you put in the work, you're not going to have surprises in the future. And there's no shortcuts to this stuff.
No, and you're going to feel better if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
And it's going to be sustainable.
That's right. And then you're not going to be playing, pharmacology with your hormones every other week for the rest of your life, trying to get it right. So there's lots that can be done. So
absolutely. So if you guys got value out of this episode this week, again, hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and let us know if there's a topic that you'd like us to cover. You can get a hold of us. Our email associated with the podcast is info@brainstormingwiththedocs.com. You can find a lot of information on our websites. Mine is www.northlakeschiropractic.com. Dr. Glenn's is www.drgharrison.com. That is an absolute copious amounts of information on his website. So give that thing a look and stay tuned because we're going to roll out a new episode each and every week.
That's right. That sounds good, Dr. Kolby. I look forward to the next one.
All right, my man. Talk to you later.